The hype has truly been unleashed. The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom finally got its gameplay shown to the world with a demonstration by Eiji Aonuma. And just like with Breath of the Wild, this gameplay shocked the world. And with that gameplay demonstration, we learned a ton of new things. Some things you might have noticed and some things you might have missed. Here are 10 huge things we learned about The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom from the gameplay demonstration. Be sure to like, share, and most importantly, subscribe to HMK. If I hit 200,000 subscribers before the game releases, I'm gonna give out a collector's edition, a couple of copies of the game, and more. So let's dive directly into the noise. The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is finally complete. Eiji Aonuma, Zelda producer, confirmed at the beginning of the video demonstration that Tears of the Kingdom has finished development and it's gone gold. That means unless there's some sort of logistics error or shipping mismanagement, that the game is set for release with no more delays. And honestly, this game couldn't come out soon enough. May 12th is the time, and between then and now, I'm pretty sure we're gonna get a gigantic media blitz, considering that the game is complete. There's nothing left for them to do in terms of development. Quality assurance, dubbing, all that good jazz, it's done. So, what they have in store for us to show us before the game comes out, I feel is gonna be quite spicy. Don't worry, I'm not expecting them to show everything, but they have a lot, and I mean a lot, to pick from, methinks. Link's new abilities. Link is gonna have some brand new power-ups when it comes to Tears of the Kingdom, thanks to that mysterious arm, which we still don't know pretty much anything about. But when it comes to the abilities, we have 4 to talk about. We have Recall, Fuse, Ultra Hand, and Ascend. When breaking down the TLDR when it comes to each of them individually, Recall allows for an item to be restored or rewound back to its original point or to a point it was before in time. This is one way how Link is able to get to the Sky Islands when it comes to islands that have dropped from the sky to the surface. Next ability, which in my opinion is one of the most intuitive, is Fusion. This allows Link to fuse almost anything to his weapon, arrows, or shields. This allows for wicked combinations such as a really long spear, a makeshift hammer which takes a stick and a giant boulder, and of course whatever you want to attach to your arrows, which could be ice choo-choo jelly, fire choo-choo jelly, electric choo-choo jelly to make some makeshift elemental arrows, or a Kisa's eye in order to turn your arrow into a homing missile. You can also attach things to your shield such as a mushroom that is able to give you a smoke screen, and a flamethrower which we saw in the second trailer. Like I said in my reaction, the strategy guide is going to be gigantic when it comes to the combinations at hand, and you're only limited by your creativity and imagination when it comes to fusion. But I do find it funny that you aren't limited by any type of resource management, because that seems kind of free, but hey, I'm not complaining. And going off of fusion, the next ability is quite similar but to a different degree, and that's Ultra Hand. Ultra Hand seems to work similar to Magnesis from Breath of the Wild, but seems to be able to pick up anything that isn't really tied down to anything else. And with that, you can move things around and stick things together. This is how you make the rafts. This is how you make the makeshift machinery that we saw from the 4th trailer and from this gameplay video, in which Eiji Aonuma was able to attach these wind propellers to these logs he attached together in order to make a jet-propelled raft. Once again, I like to see how many things we can attach one to the other, and it looks like you're only limited by your creativity. And then last but not least, we have a very familiar ability that we saw from the second trailer, and that is Ascend. According to Eiji Aonuma, you're able to ascend from the ground to something above you as long as there is a roof above you, and you can go through that roof to whatever is over on top. This includes mountains, caves, cages, whatever seems to keep you down. You can go up and ascend as long as there's something above you. I'm pretty sure there's a limitation on how high you can go and how much you can pass through, but Mr. Aonuma said that he'll talk about that on a later date. All in all, these powers seem really cool, but it really makes me wonder what's going to become of the familiar abilities that we saw from Breath of the Wild, and some of them are really important, such as bombs. Next up is the Sky Islands. Now, of course, we've known about the Sky Islands ever since the second trailer, but we finally got a name of it simply being the Sky Islands. It's not like Skyloft or Sky Isles or anything like that, just Sky Islands. But that's something we knew, right, HMK? But with this gameplay video, we finally got the confirmation when it comes to the map system from the surface in Breath of the Wild to the Sky Islands in Tears of the Kingdom, in which it will utilize something very similar to that of latitude, longitude, and altitude, in which your mini-map and what I expect your full map is going to utilize these coordinates when it comes to how high you are in the air and presumably how low you are under the ground, in relation to your placement when it comes to the horizontal aspect of the map. So I hope you studied that in school, because if you did, you'll be fine. If you didn't, oh, you gonna learn when the game comes out. Constructs. We finally have a name for these mechanical enemies that we've seen, huddled about when it comes to the specific trailers of Tears of the Kingdom. And these constructs seem to only appear in the Sky Islands. While a lot of these constructs seem to be enemies, a lot of eagle eyes have noticed that there are some constructs, like range constructs, that are actually NPCs and hopefully friendly, in which we can actually talk to them. So it's really cool to see a new type of mechanical enemy and a new type of mechanical entity aside from that of the guardians that we're used to from Breath of the Wild. But what exactly constructed the constructs? And that is right, Zonai has finally been confirmed for Tears of the Kingdom. So in the gameplay, we saw that when Link took down a soldier construct, it dropped something called a soldier construct's horn, which I'm pretty sure you can use for fusion for a weapon, and a Zonai charge. We finally have confirmation. We are free, we are vindicated, but this is something small, but it goes a very long way when it comes to the identity of Tears of the Kingdom. That means everything when it comes to what we thought is Zonai technology, Zonai energy, has been confirmed. The green energy, the Zonai machinery that we've seen throughout the trailers, and what appears to be Zonai architecture all over the Sky Islands, and what originated from the land of Hyrule are all connected, which possibly means that the Zonai, the way they disappeared, is up into the sky. And the fact that the Zonai are directly connected somehow to Ganondorf and his seal that we've seen throughout the trailers means something incredibly big is gonna go down for this hidden tribe that were literally talked about in whispers when it came to the era of Breath of the Wild in-game and creating a champion. Everything we know about Zelda, about Ganondorf, about these two games is about to be turned on its head with this one confirmation, and I know you guys are excited for that. Speaking of Zonai, on the map, we basically got the confirmation of Zonai Shrines, or Zonai whatever, is going to compete and replace Sheikah Shrines from the previous game. On the map, if you would notice, a very similar but quite different icon appears on the map, in which is the same color as Sheikah Shrines, which one would assume that we could warp towards, but has quite a different shape that is a lot like those swirling pillars that we've seen throughout trailers, which makes me believe that not only these are Zonai thanks to the confirmation of Zonai charges, but they're going to replace Sheikah Shrines, in which there are going to be Zonai Shrines, and you'll be able to warp to them that you find on the ground, in the sky, and presumably under the ground as well. Along with that, when it comes to the sky, we also have markers that seem to be shops and seems to be outposts of some kind, maybe houses. Aji Aonuma did state that we're gonna have man-made structures on the Sky Islands, so it could be possible that a whole civilization, like many have theorized, will exist on those islands in the sky. The usefulness of items and fusion. Now, I've talked a little bit about fusion earlier in this video, but this is truly going to change everything we know about Breath of the Wild going into Tears of the Kingdom as its sequel. Breath of the Wild was already incredibly intuitive thanks to the exploration, thanks to innovation, and the rewarding experimentation, as well as the physics engine. But now we finally got the confirmation in Tears of the Kingdom that Zelda and the Nintendo team are going to take that a bunch of steps forward when it comes to fusion and the usefulness of items. As in Breath of the Wild, we've all played the game, and we've all been super over-encumbered when it comes to all of these items like choo-choo jelly, stones, ores, rocks, teeth, horns, guts, all that stuff. And sometimes you find that you have a lot and you're gonna have to sell them or put them into your Master Cycle 0, but they didn't really have any uses beyond that for the most part. Now with Tears of the Kingdom, that all changes. You can stick choo-choo jelly to your arrows instead of just, dropping them on the floor and hopefully you can hit them with your sword or an arrow from a distance. No, you cut the middleman out. And what it seems to me that a lot of parts and pieces that fall off of enemies, you can turn them into weaponry. And of course, those Keese eyeballs, homing arrows, let's go. I wonder if you can combine that with a Savage Lionel bow. 3 homing, machine gun tactics. And that's just going off of what's in your pocket. Remember, you can still fuse to what you see in the overworld. Sure, Link was able to fuse something with a boulder, but imagine fusing something with a metal boulder. That is your own lightning rod. Possibly you can use it to protect yourself from lightning, or not. Maybe you could use a stick to fuse together many types of meats like a skewer or a kebab and just leave that kebab for unwilling enemies to, hey, what's tasty? Looks over there and then you sneak strike them from behind. And with the sky truly the limit, imagine taking a really long stick made out of wood, but at the very tip of the stick, you put another stick. And at the tip of that stick, you put on some sort of electrically charged or a fireball or a piece of ice that you're gonna have to poke from a distance when it comes to possibly unlocking some sort of elemental lock or attracting lightning in order to charge up some sort of machine. I honestly thought people were gonna be wild when it comes to creating their own Zonai contraptions in terms of machinery or vehicles, but now I wanna see where people are going to construct their weapons, arrows, and shields and stuff. And I want to know what is the true limit to that, because once I find out, I'm gonna go and dismantle anything I can in order to make the most Frankenstein looking weapon imaginable. Just imagine creating a sword on top of a sword and then sticking choo-choo jelly to that and then having a fire swing or an ice swing or electric swing when you don't have any elemental weapon on you. You know how elemental weapons have the little jewel like a topaz, a ruby, or a sapphire on the hilt? You can probably do that yourself now! It's time. What happens when I attach a diamond? As we're diving into this video, we have to talk about diving itself, because diving seems way more intuitive than what we've seen in the trailers. Because from what I gathered from the gameplay, you're able to move around, and then Link does these new animations when falling and going into the world from the sky. It seems that every time we saw him, like, you know, float or fall through the air, dive through the air, it was always in like, okay, let go of the control stick. And then just that's him falling. But it looks like you can really maneuver a lot, and hopefully the patents will be shown off. You guys know what I'm talking about when it comes to aerial combat with your bow and arrow. Oh, that's going to be sick, considering that we now have homing arrows, because I'm thinking that aerial combat is gonna be so insane that we're going to need to stock up on key size. And of course, we have to talk about the Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom OLED Switch that got confirmed finally. But what I'm kind of excited for a little bit more is that Pro Control. That Pro Control looks sick, right? And I want to know what you guys think when it comes to the OLED or the Pro Controller. Which one are you planning to get, if not both? And are you gonna get the case? That case looks really nice too. You know, an OLED case, you know, that's kind of spicy. Just hopefully we don't have to fight too many scalpers when it comes to that. And the last thing on this list that a lot of people I feel aren't really talking about as much as anything else other on this list is the loading times. Guys, we saw Eiji Aonuma play Tears of the Kingdom in what I want to assume in real time, with combat, with going through the sky, going up into the islands and diving out from the islands back to the surface. And there was no real loading time when it comes to any stuttering or frame rate dips or anything. It was pure. Sure, it was 30 frames per second. I'm not expecting a game like this big to run 60 frames per second on a Switch, but it seems to be running exceptionally well, considering that Tears of the Kingdom was built in mind for the Switch first, because Breath of the Wild was, you know, built for the Wii U and then ported over to the Switch. And when it comes to the speedrun tactics that you've seen in Breath of the Wild, when it comes to the bomb jumps and, you know, the stasis abilities where you, like, you know, you perform stasis on a rock and you go as far as the rock goes, you will go like asinine, ludicrous speeds. But the game sometimes, when, you know, breaking the game for speed running, it would have to like pause just a little bit in order to load up the new area, and whatnot. So there was some stuttering in that sense. And of course, when you play the game naturally in places like Korok Forest. But in Tears of the Kingdom, with the amount of verticality that Eiji Aonuma was able to explore going up and down, it seemed that we had no hiccups whatsoever. So this has me incredibly excited. And I have like the utmost faith in this game, and I have the utmost faith in the little console that could. Look at it, the Switch. 6 years old. That's wild. Breath of the Wild. It almost makes me want to shed a tear. Some Tears of the Kingdom. And those are 10 huge things we learned from the gameplay demonstration. And those are 10 huge things that we've learned from the gameplay demonstration of Tears of the Kingdom. And I feel like we're going to learn a lot more because I can feel it in my bones that we're going to get a Media Blitz soon. That if not, this was the beginning of the Media Blitz. And I hope you guys are ready for that. If you like the video, please like, share, and most importantly, subscribe to HMK. And remember, if we're going to reach 200K before the game releases, I'm going to give away a collector's edition, some copies of the game, and more. So until the next video, this has been your boy HMK, and I'll check you guys later.